Also, if you are looking at this from your laptop and you hit view and you go to gallery, it'll give you a bigger view so you can see all the comics during the whole show. Thank you so much for coming. These have been a great group of students. I was a student of ASAP in 2017, along with one of my fellow instructors, Maria Bettdorf, and I were in the same class. And I got to tell you, I love ASAP. I love ASAP so much that when I moved to Indianapolis, I kept working with ASAP, which was great during the great pandemic, right? I'm glad it's over, but it means that marathons are back. Like, I don't know if you know a friend who runs a marathon, but they'll tell you. Like, they do not want to stop telling you. My problem with marathons really comes down to like the Battle of Marathon, right? The Battle of Marathon was awesome. The Battle of Marathon was like 490 BC between a very small Athenian army and a huge Persian army, right? And it raged. Like, they fought for like 16 hours. And then this guy at the end, it was amazing. The Athenians won. Nobody thought they were like the Red Strike of the war, right? For the Greeks. He ran 24 miles back to his king and yelled, "We won," and died. Right? I would get behind a marathon if that's what we did. At 5 o'clock in the morning, if somebody was like, "Okay, Athenians or Persians? Okay, if you could just put your bib inside your shield walls form at 6." And there's somebody in the back going, "I don't think they had shield walls in the middle of marathon." I don't care. I don't care. I just want people to like whack at each other for 16 hours and then run. That makes way more sense to me. And I know that somebody heard me say 24 miles, but it didn't become 26.2. I've seen your bumper sticker. I know that you're aware of how long it takes, right? But the 26.2 didn't happen until 1908. And it only happened because of the royal family. In 1908 was the London Olympics. And in the London Olympics, they were going to run the marathon. It had not been established for time and miles yet. And the family said, it'd be great if you could start where we live and then end at our box seats. That would be fabulous. And that's how it became 26.2. And it also makes the royal family the laziest marathon viewers ever. Right? Like, if you're in a marathon, I will hold a sign up and it'll be like, "Go you've got this." And I'm going to wear a shirt that said I drove here. But sort of. So I don't run. I like doing yoga. I like weightlifting. I knit, which apparently became a sport. It gives you the same benefits of yoga and all of the aggravation of golf, right? So it's a useful skill. It does mean that I inherited a bunch of old ladies, because if you don't have old ladies in your life, get yourself some. If you don't have 80-year-old women and you don't have them around, they're fabulous. They have no inside voice anymore. They're the entire time like, "Oh my God, Monica, did you see that baby? Did you see that baby? It's got no hat on its head. Joanne, do we have a bag with some hats for the baby?" We have an extra hat for the babies. The baby's got no hat on its head. But I'm always like, "Lucille, it's the baptism. Shush." Right? They're just wrong. I do love it though when we're knitting in public, because people are always surprised that happens. And they're always like, "Oh my God, are you knitting? Is it knitting? Are you knitting? Is it knitting? Are you knitting? Are you knitting? Are you knitting? Is it knitting?" My girls are always like, "Yes, baby blankets, hats for the homeless." I'm always like, "Thong." If you use the glow in the dark yarn, you can chase that banana around for a while before you have to peel it. But I want to get on to our comics. They are fabulous, and I appreciate them so much. They've been a great class. You guys I'm so glad you guys are out here to celebrate them. We're bringing up our first comic for the evening. He just turned 31 and he lives with his grandma. Please put your hands together for Julian Torres.
Woo! What's up, fools? I'm from Los Angeles, and growing up in the hood, you had to pick a gang to join. So I looked at my options. I looked at the colors they wore, who had the best territory, and who had the most respect. So I picked the deadliest gang in the world, and that gang was the United States Marine Corps. Raw. And like most Marines, I did a stupid thing. I got married for the benefits. Free housing, bonus pay, no more field days. I was in. If you don't know what field day is, it's when they inspect your room's cleanliness. You can fail for not making your bed. You can fail for having frost in your freezer, or you can fail for having trash in your trash can. And I got tired of failing room inspections. What a mistake that was, though. I went on my first deployment, and along came Jody. Jody, you ask? Well, Jody's someone that takes your spot when you're overseas and having the time of your life. Like, I came back single, and I had to get back in the game. So I tried out dating apps. I was on Tinder, Bumble, and Grindr.
Of course.
Tried out Tinder first. You know, just Tinder is where you just swipe away. Don't even look at the profiles. Don't even look at the pictures. Just we can just keep going. And then bam, finally I got a match. So I go on a date with this girl. The night's going great. We had dinner, and we start walking back to the car. And that's when it went downhill. As we approached the car, she collapsed on the floor and started having a seizure.
Oh no.
I panicked. I looked around. No witnesses. So I started going through my options. Should I seek help? Should I drive off? Or should I just stuff her in the car? And my Marine training kicked in, and I seized the opportunity. And I fell to the floor and played dead. Let's say that was the end of that date. On my way home, I checked her profile, and it did not say anything about having seizures. I got matched with her because she was married. Well, this time I decided to try out Bumble, where the girls message the guys first. And I was really into this girl, but I was nervous. So I went to a bar, had a few drinks to loosen up, and I got loose. I was closing my tab, and I dropped my wallet. Didn't realize my date was behind me. She bent over to pick up my wallet. And at that time, I farted in her face on accident.
No.
And what? The fart wasn't on accident, but the gas facial was. And then she stood up and looked at me and screamed, "Did you just fart in my face?" And I panicked. I looked around again. And there was a few people looking at me. And that's when my instinct kicked in. I fell to the floor and played dead. She started laughing. I started laughing. And that's when I knew she was the one. So now my girlfriend asked me if we're ever getting married. And I start thinking about the benefits. Is there free housing? Is there bonus pay? Is there field days? So before I can answer that difficult question, my instinct kicks in. You already know what that is. If I ever get dumped, at least I still have Grindr to fall on. Watch out, boys. Watch out. You might see me one day.
Oh, goodness.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Woo! Very good, Julian. Thank you for starting us off. I'm really excited to keep the ball rolling. Our next comedian is a 2021 ASAP graduate. He has an unbelievable name. Please put your hands together for John Smith, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Yes, my name is John Smith. It is so weird. It is so weird having a name that was copied from a sample birth certificate. That's why I hate checking in at the Marriott, because the clerks have to verify everything and make me feel like I'm in a Scooby-Doo cartoon. Huh? John Smith? I'm like, okay, you got me this time. I'm really Jane Doe. Of course I'm John Smith, but my girlfriend's Jane Doe. There are other people who think I'm lying about my name. Show me your real driver's license. My real ID has my fake name too. Officer. Even little kids and pilgrims are like, okay, so where's Pocahontas?
Right?
No, people who can't even see me may do this. My sherry amor. The Milky Way. Wait a second, you don't feel like a John Smith. A friend was like, man, you should just change your name. Well, at this age, if I were to change it, my last name would be Care. My first name would be I don't.
Amen, brother.
Monica would have to introduce me like this. Coming to the stage. I don't care. I'm a Marine Corps veteran.
Rock.
Hoorah, with combat experience. And it's scary coming home from war to a pile of bills.
True.
Because bill collectors could be more annoying than people shoot at you.
Yep.
I'm like, can I go back to Saudi Arabia? Because it's safe over there.
Right?
At war, I never had to change my phone number. It's like I'd rather have PTSD, not DEBT.
Right on.
I'm looking at my bills like, for John Smith, for John Smith, for John, hey, wait a second. This is the wrong John Smith. Didn't have a membership at a tanning salon. After serving in the Gulf War, realized that nothing scares me. Well, except for spiders.
No, that's right.
I was lying in my bed watching TV, and I could see one scurry across the floor. And I couldn't kill it because it outran my remote. And my pillow.
Mm-hmm.
And my Glock. I'm like, somebody come in here and help me kill this spider. My 6-year-old comes in. Dad, it's 4 a.m. I'm like, if you don't help me kill that spider, you're walking to school. Because I can't kill that spider from under these blankets. It is. It's still alive. It's crawling. Step on it with your left foot. Your right foot. Your left, right, left. She's like, Dad, it was only an ant. I don't care. Spider, ant, they all do the same thing. They crawl. And crawling is creepy.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And she taunts me. Itsy bitsy spider climbs up the wire. Don't sing that song in this house. That's the right song. See, that's my PTSD. Post-traumatic spider dislike.
Amen.
I had a dream that a spider ran across my ceiling and it zip lined down in my face and looked at me with those 8 eyes and said, "Are you really John Smith?" Thank you, Monica.
Awesome.
All right. So John was also one of our mentors this period. He was great. We could not have done this class without him. We've got 2 mentors. You'll see the other one in a bit. But right now I'm going to bring to the stage another comic from this class. He's a disabled vet who was raised in the city and is now afraid of his own shadow. Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for J.W. King.
All right. So I go by J.W. King for 2 reasons. One, John Smith was already taken.
Coach Daddy now.
And 2, because my dad thinks he's funny. You see, my real name is Joe, but it makes booking things kind of weird. So that's why I go by JW. For example, a while back, I called to make dinner reservations for a pretty large size group. And the lady on the phone asked me, "How many people and what name do you want on the reservation?" I said, "We need seating for 18. And I'm joking. She laughed and said, "Okay, seriously, how many people and what name would you like?" I was like, seriously, we have 18 people and Joe King is my name. I told my dad this and he said, "Son, you know your name was my greatest gift." And then he laughed, like a little too hard. Then he said, "It could have been worse, boy. You know, to tell you the truth, it was really a toss-up between Joe, Richard, or Jack." Put that together, you'll figure it out.
Nice.
So then he continued, he's like, "You could just thank me whenever you get it, you know." But in addition to having a funny name, I have a funny disability where my brain like sort of like short circuits every once in a while. I was unofficially diagnosed with it as a child, but I believe my dad said it was the correct term was bumbling idiot. I don't know though. I never noticed it. I just guess it came naturally. But it wasn't until recently when I was on an airplane and I sat next to in the aisle seat next to this Vietnam veteran who had lost his right arm in the war. Now, some people are kind of uneasy when they sit next to someone who's missing a limb. But for me, it was the best part of the flight. I didn't have to share the armrest.
Oh, goodness.
But the worst part of the flight was after we landed. I wanted to show him my respect by thanking him for his service with like, you know, a little salute. But before I realized that Dad was right about me, the old veteran politely saluted me back with his middle finger. Apparently that was rude.
Guess so.
But here's a fun fact. I spent 7 years in the military deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my country. I do. And I love being a soldier. But of the 7 years I spent in the Army, there was only 1 year that was actually enjoyable.
Mhm.
The other 6, I was married to my crazy ex-wife. But I now have a new, much less crazy wife. Thank you. And we have been married now for 8 years.
Oh,
Nice.
So
nice.
congratulations.
Thank you. And I'll never forget when she got pregnant 3 months after we met. Yeah. It's funny because my sister has tried for years to get pregnant, and it turns out the secret to getting pregnant faster is a camper, a lot of Jägermeister, and Red Bull.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We were just camping and poking fun, and things got serious. When she went into labor, I offered her my hand to squeeze. She was in so much pain, and instead she grabbed my face and she squeezed to the point to my top lip was touching my bottom eyelid. I learned a lot that day.
Mhm.
I learned that my wife has a much stronger grip than she let on,
Mhm.
and that my eyelids taste weird. Like oysters on the half shell or something. I don't know. Yeah. I know you can taste it already, can't you? Yeah, but afterwards, she was exhausted. So I got one of those breast pumps so that I can help feed the baby and she can get some rest. But that didn't last long because they made my nipples tender. Thank you all so much. I'm joking. Seriously.
Okay. JW, that was awesome. I'm so happy that your face is balanced back out again. The next comic I'm bringing to stage is another one of our mentors. Like I said earlier, also graduated with from Comedy Bootcamp with ASAP in 2017. She is a Navy veteran. She once performed in New York City. It was karaoke, but it was still fun. So, let's put your hands together for Maria Batdorf.
Maria.
Oh, hello. It's great to see you all. So we had a pandemic and I got a little bored. So my husband started teaching me how to play video games. You might be wondering how someone of my generation could be bad at video games. But when I was growing up, my siblings and I didn't have any video games and we had to play outside all the time. My childhood was basically a baby boomer's dream come true. My toys consisted of a jackknife that I had to share with my siblings. These little handcrafted bows and arrows that we made with our jackknife, and a shotgun that my parents gave me on my 13th birthday.
All right.
They were good Second Amendment parents. So I was also homeschooled from kindergarten to 12th grade. Sometimes people ask me, well, how are you socialized? And I tell them, I wasn't. Back then in the state of Michigan, where I grew up, homeschooling was illegal. Before TLC made it a trend, it was a covert operation. I have 10 brothers and sisters, and we lived like Anne Frank, except we were outside all the time. You just had to stay in the backyard.
Oh, no.
Now, my siblings and I thought it was important to blend in with our community, but the only other kids we saw were on TV. So we dressed like Little House on the Prairie. When I was 6 years old, my parents strategically relocated us to a small farm 2 miles from the nearest town, population 700 senior citizens.
Sure.
So, of course, my mom would have to go to the grocery store during the day, and she would have to take us with her. So, like any good Christian, she taught us how to lie. And it's a good thing that there was a high turnover rate among the grocery store cashiers because my grandfather died 25 times in 1 year. When we weren't going to the grocery store, my siblings and I were out on our little two-way radios with our bows and arrows, keeping a watch for those gray vans with men that might try to kidnap us. You know, the ones from Child Protective Services. Another question people sometimes ask me is, well, do you feel like you were put at a disadvantage? But I know history. Many people were homeschooled. George Washington, Albert Einstein, Lorena Bobbitt. There are a few things that there are a few skills that you learn from being homeschooled that are a little different. Like when it comes to joining cults, my parents always told me, if you're in a religious group and the leader of the group tells you to walk barefoot over hot coals, then that is a cult and you should not join them. And I listened to my parents. I never walked barefoot on hot coals in any of the cults that I joined. So my parents raised me on the Bible and the movie Red Dawn. It was their great ambition that I should become a child bride. But they made a mistake. When I was 16 years old, they had me read a book called I Kissed Dating Goodbye, written by a 21-year-old dating expert and ruiner of lives named Joshua Harris. And it was all the rage in the homeschool community. So this book was a basic instruction manual for how to become a cat-loving single lady. Step 1, ostracize any boy who tries to flirt with you. Step 2, insist any interested boy request permission from your father to invite you on a group outing to get to know you better.
All right.
Step 3, die alone.
Oh, damn.
Now, there's also some things you don't learn from being homeschooled, like sex education. So my parents gave me a book about a hamster family having little hamster babies, and it was very confusing. But I did learn one thing about hamsters, and that is hamsters do not have sex until they're married. So a few years back, I decided it was time to remediate my sex education deficiency. I tried watching some of those online tutorials. But I found it was not an appropriate, or it was not geared towards beginners. And then I was told it was not an appropriate use of the library's internet. Not even when I put the sound on mute. All right. Thank you all so much. That's my time.
Well done.
Great job, Maria. I am so glad that you were able to join our community. At this point in the show, I am going to transfer the reins of the hosting duty over to the co-instructor for the Delta class. It's been a real privilege to get to teach this class with her. My co-instructor for Delta is an Air Force veteran, a mother of 2, and a newlywed. She's been with ASAP before it was ASAP, and has performed for thousands of people, some of whom actually left. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Melissa Duke.
Melissa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, as Monica mentioned, I am an Air Force veteran, and I did 98% of my 20 years also as a mom. There you go. Thank you. Feedback is always good. So needless to say, I put up with a great deal of whining and hair pulling and temper tantrums. And then I leave the male officers at work and go home to my kids. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Throughout my career, I worked with several really great male officers. In fact, now that I'm retired, if I ever get a chance to run into them again, it'll be with my truck. So Monica mentioned I'm also a newlywed. That's new within the last few years, and I married an Air Force officer.
Oh.
Yeah. She's the one that bought me the truck. Yeah, I met Dixie quite a few years ago, back in 1999, and there's a little bit of difference in our ages, just a smidge, 9.25 years, not too much. But I had been previously married and already had 2 girls at the time. So when people would ask my children, my eldest, Erica, how did your mom and Dixie meet? Erica would just go, oh, Dixie was our babysitter. Thanks. Yeah. That was sweet. We were out somewhat recently. Those age jokes never get old. We were driving around. My daughter says, hey, there's a laundromat named after you. And I was like, there's a laundromat named Melissa? And she said, no, Sunshine, which was my call sign when I was in the Air Force. And I was like, okay, cool. A few minutes later, she's like, hey, Mom, you're actually in this word search that I'm doing. And I'm like, what, another Sunshine reference? She's like, no, Cougar. Oh. All right. Yeah, maybe tuck and roll out of the car when we stopped. But I'm happy that I raised smart alecky children, because the jokes really never stop. My eldest and I were on the way to the beach. I used to live in Hampton Roads. We were on the way down to Virginia Beach, listening to some hip hop station, and the young black man on the radio was singing about his boo, his shawty. And I was like, huh, this is before I married Dixie. I said, Erica, just curious. I'm 6 feet tall. I know you can't see it out there in Zoom land, but I'm 6 feet tall. If I were dating a black man, what would he call me? Would it be like shawty? And she's like, no, he'd call you cracker. Huh. All right, cool. So fast forward another couple of years, we had just moved, as all good military people do. I'm unpacking. I put on a gray pair of shorts and a gray t-shirt, getting ready to go out to breakfast. And I'm like, there's never anything like a bad hair day. There's only good hat days. So I said to Laura, I said, hey, what color hat should I wear? And she goes, oh, gray for sure, Mom. I said, gray? Yeah. She's like, yeah, to go with your hair.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, ooh is right. But you know what? That shit, pardon me, Brian. That stuff is clever. She was 11 at the time. You got to give it up to the sister. So I have to give a special shout out today for my daughter, Erica. Today is her birthday, her actual birthday. So
Happy
Erica,
birthday.
Yeah, she turned 32 today. So the 30-year warranty's up, so I can't turn her back in. The youngest one's only 29, so I still have a year before I decide whether or not I want to keep her or not. But I'm at that age in life where Mother Nature's kind of deciding whether or not she wants to stick to a regimented schedule or if she just wants to show up and visit whenever she effing feels like it. So the last cycle I had was on my daughter's birthday, the 29th of March. That was Laura. And I was like, okay, that's a little odd. So Mother Nature decided to skip a visit in April, and she shows up today. Today, right. Like Mother Nature's like, you know what, you're bleeding on 29 March, 29 years ago, you're going to bleed on 10 May, 32 years ago. Just so that we can remind you that you can still have children. Not that my wife would approve of that. Just saying. So Mother Nature being what she is, I had to tell this story just real quick. So a few years ago, I was getting dressed for a formal event. And I know that you can't see it now because it's Zoom, but in the last 2 years, I've lost over 100 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much. And before that, though, I dressed at a store exclusively that had the initials that was the same as weight, LB, the same as weight. It was Lane Bryant. Okay, no fat people in the group know that. Thanks. Anyway, I'm getting dressed for a friend's wedding. And I was actually borrowing my daughter's Spanx because, you live in a house with chicks, you wear your daughter's Spanx. And so I bought a skirt and some hose, and I was like, okay, cool. This is great. So I'm getting dressed, and I'd never worn Spanx before. And so I had to put on a little cornstarch to make the Spanx go up, because women, you're not supposed to wear talcum powder. No. That causes ovarian cancer. Bad deal. So I'm rubbing the cornstarch on me, pulled up the Spanx, pulled up the stockings, put the skirt down, go to the wedding, have a couple glasses of white wine, and it's warm. It's Virginia. It's hot. It's humid, right? And I've been dancing. So I went to go to the ladies' room a few hours later. And what they don't tell you about Spanx is that everything it smooths out in the middle comes out the opposite ends. So there was a nice shelf of fat for the girls to sit on because the Spanx came right underneath the bra line. And they also came right to my knee. And the stockings that I was wearing were fishnets. Right, exactly. Some chick out there is like, oh God, girl, why did you do that? Anyway, so I'm going up into the bathroom and I look down and all of the fat that had been smoothed out of the Spanx had gone into the fishnets. I looked like I had smuggled 2 Smithfield hands up into that bathroom. Right? The cornstarch with the white wine and the sweat had kind of made like a roux on its way towards the grave. And all that pressure around my midsection had already like busted the biscuit. Yeah, I'll wait for y'all to catch up for that one. Anyway, I walked out of that bathroom. It smelled like Waffle House up in there. I know, right? Well, anyway, that's more than my time. So it's not about me. It's about the rest of the students. So let's continue on. Our next comedian coming to the stage from an abandoned building in the middle of a pasture deep in the heart of Texas. Please welcome military veteran Dwayne Posey. Woo!
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm in a small town, actually in a small pasture in a small town. My dad was in the Marine Corps, and I was raised by the Marine Corps ring. What I mean by that is he had a ring that he got when he was in the service. He used to take and turn that around. If I messed up, he'd pop me on top of my head. Oh, man, did that hurt. But it worked. By 6 months, he had me potty trained. By a year old, I was outside doing it. By 2 years old, he had me where it didn't even stink. He was training me to be a Marine, he told me. At 3 years old, my mom took me out of there. Well, I'm glad she showed up because he was getting ready to start survival training. And I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that it probably tasted bad, although it didn't smell. So I'm glad she got me away from him. I went and enlisted, and I went and told my dad, and he looked at me. He goes, Marine Corps? I go, no. He said, Air Force? I go, no, sir. He turned the Marine Corps ring around. He looked at me. He said, better not be Navy, boy. So I looked at him. I wasn't afraid of that ring no more. My head had all scar tissue by now, and it didn't hurt anymore. So I was all right with it. So I looked at him and said, Navy. Just mess with it. He knew I wasn't stationed in the Navy. He knew I wasn't enlisted in the Navy. As soon as I got stationed in Arizona, it's hard to fool him after that. But my mom, now she's special. I was sitting in a bar with a bunch of guys one day, and they looked at each other, and one of them said, hey, I wonder what the COVID deal is doing to the hooker trade. I perked up. I looked over there and said, hey, I know that answer. So I called my mom. I said, hey, Mom. I said, how's COVID doing with business? She's like, man, she goes, well, it's kind of slowed down a little bit. Said, it's got a little bit better, now that I got to wear my mask. I said, well, you think it slowed down because of the COVID or because you're 89? My mom is like she's the oldest professional in the oldest profession. So I'm pretty proud of her. Not everybody can say that. I joined the Army. When I first got there, everybody's standing there in the center and they come around there giving everybody these pills. And I looked at him, I said, what is that? The guy looked at me and said, it's saltpeter. I go, saltpeter? I said, what's it do? He said, it's supposed to keep your thing down. He said, just take it, boy. So I took it. It didn't have any effect on me, I'm telling you. 40 years later, that shit kicked in. One day, all of a sudden, they said, that guy's right. So I went to go see a VA doctor about my toes. And this lady come in there and trimmed my toenails and everything. I said, cool. Doctor come in, looked at my toes, and he goes, damn. I said, damn. I said, what are you going to do? Cut them off? He looked at me. He said, yeah. I said, well, doc, I was just kidding. He said, I think you ought to cut them off. I said, well, let me think about this. So I went home. About a week later, I got to think about it. And you know what? They come in there and trimmed my toes and then told me they're going to cut my toes off. I said, this guy's messing with me. So I called him up. He's a Marine Corps doctor too. So I got two birds with one stone on this. I said, hey, doc, I said, about my toes, I said, what do you suggest? He said, well, I told you cut them off. I said, yeah, I know that. I said, but chainsaw or lawnmower? I said, I can do this myself. He hung up. I'm in therapy. I started out with one therapist. Then I got two. Then I got one again. All of a sudden, she made a career change. And I liked her. I was really opening up to her. I was letting her have all of it, man. I don't know why she quit on me. Then I had an English teacher quit one time. Changed her career right in the middle. Been teaching 20 years and just took off running out of the room saying she couldn't take it no more. I do, in a small town, so I've got to do like my stand-up at Walmart. So I go find a speaker or in the department where there ain't nobody at, and I get a good 3 minutes out of there before they track me down. In the auto section one time, I got a good 5 minutes in there, but I made the mistake that I couldn't reach the door, the damn buzzer on the door, and they caught me. Now you see why I live in a pasture in the middle of in somewhere out here in Texas. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you so much. Continuing on with the laughter, our next comedian coming to the stage is an Air Force spouse. And while her number one fan is overseas, she spends her days trying to make her dog laugh. Please welcome to the stage, Marilyn Overstreet.
Marilyn.
Thank you.
Oh,
Like Melissa said, I am an Air Force spouse, and I've learned, surrounded by patriots, that there are two American pastimes that I hate. Watching sports and aggressive displays of nationalism. But in the sliver where those meet lies the Olympics, and I love the Olympics. I love the Olympics because it's the place where the weird kid sports get the attention they deserve. Okay.
Right?
I grew up doing a weird kid sport. I did Taekwondo, which according to my middle school bullies was super weird. And you would think getting made fun of through, I don't know, my developmental years would give me some empathy for this misfit community of mine. But if I'm honest with myself, if you tell me any time in the 4 years between Olympiad that you played professional table tennis, you jump right up here to the file cabinet with community theater kids who refer to themselves as thespians. Ridiculous. But for those 16 precious days every 4 years, 2 years if you believe in the Winter Olympics, 16 days, nothing I would rather do than peel my eyes open at 3 a.m. to watch live coverage of grown men playing ping pong on behalf of their entire country.
Right?
Proud to be an American in that moment. Now, you can sell me on sports as long as there's something in it for me. A little treat. I'm a good Wisconsin girl, love a tailgate in the shadow of Miller Park. And yeah, I said Miller Park. For those of you not from Wisconsin, let me give you a little history lesson. The year was 2020. Remember anything that happened that year? Well, one of my personal favorites was our beloved Miller Park, which had been Miller Park for 20 years, was renamed American Family Field. We went from beer to insurance. As I suppose most 20-somethings do, I just wasn't expecting such rapid maturity from a building. I mean, the brewers made sense. Miller Park made sense. The brewers brew the beer and Miller is the beer. What makes insurance? The home and auto bundlers? That's not going to fit on a jersey. But we all hate the name. It's longer, got a lot of consonants, reminds us of the death grip that capitalism has on everything we love. So the marketing team over at the Brewers trying to liven it up a little bit, get us to accept the name and call it AmFam Field. It's cute. It's quirky. It's like when your mom gets remarried and the guy you already don't like comes over real close and is like, you don't have to call me Dad. You can just call me Greg.
No, thanks.
How about this, Greg? How about I don't call you anything? How about my dad moves back in? He doesn't try to sell me insurance at a baseball game. He goes for the beer. It's a lot more fun. Now, I think American Family's in it for the long run here. I get it. Getting the kids talking about the important things. I have an 8-year-old nephew. I love teaching him things about the world. He recently started losing his baby teeth. Great time to teach him that teeth are bones that grow out of your face. I found him later writing a letter to the tooth fairy. Like, why do you want to buy kids bones? As if it was any better that she was buying teeth. I like asking him questions that make him think too. Recent favorite is water wet? And like a child, he said, yeah, and then moved along. But I wouldn't let him do that. No, because then I asked my favorite question, are you sure? After about 20 minutes of mental table tennis, I don't think he'll ever look at water the same way again. And I am so proud of that. My sister-in-law thinks I'm giving him anxiety. But like, if anyone's going to do it, it might as well be someone cool, right? Gonna happen eventually. But he's adorable. He's smart. He plays normal kid sports. He needs a little spice. Okay. He is going to be out in the world one day, starting conversations. And he's not going to be one of those people that's like, hey, girl, looking good. I don't know how boys talk. No, he's going to walk up with something interesting like, hey, did you know that you've never seen the color black? It's only ever been really, really dark gray. Power serve. Becky, what are you going to do? Thank you so much. That's my time.
Oh, that was so great. Thank you so much, Marilyn. And last and certainly not least, coming to the stage is an Army vet and a former helicopter pilot with definitely fewer than 3 crashes on his record. Please welcome to the stage, Brian Lutz.
Hey everybody, I'm Brian and I'm a dad. So I have 4 kids and it's great. It's a lot, but it's great. Traveling with that many though, less great. We had to fly somewhere recently. Stepping onto a plane with 4 small children is like boarding holding a bomb. Just coming down the aisle like, wow, how did this get here? Hope we make it. And people are always super judgy that you would even try. They're like, well, why fly with them at all then? Like, I don't know, Deborah, maybe because this country is huge and sometimes your brother gets married in Denver. Plus, they're not dogs. Like, I can't just leave them with someone. They don't have child kennels where I could board them. At least they didn't when I Googled child kennels near me. Child kennels, probably one of those dark web things, right? Which, like, I don't understand the dark web. I don't get how it works. I don't know if there's like a button you push, if it's like a swipe thing, like night mode. Is it Bing? Is that what Bing is? It's for selling organs? I don't know. Not as bad as my parents, though. My folks asked me the other day whether the dark web and black Twitter were the same thing. my dad was like, yeah, I saw this article that said this black Twitter is pretty funny, and your mother and I would like to go check it out. Like it's a place that he could drive to. Also, would not believe me when I tried to explain that black Twitter is just black people on Twitter. My mom was like, sounds like you're just worried that we'll get on there and embarrass you. And yeah. Like, I'm a 39-year-old chubby dad. Twitter in general terrifies me. I don't need my parents poking around on there like, do you know my son? He's a white guy, dark hair, bit of a moon face. Do you know anybody like that? Yeah, no thanks. Plus, as far as I'm concerned, Twitter is just a global, meaner version of the cool kids table from like a junior high cafeteria. Like, those kids could cut me real deep when the least cool thing about me was my backpack. Bro, I drive a minivan now. I can't hold up to that kind of scrutiny. I won't even get the jokes. I'll just be looking at memes of my own stupid face like, huh, yeah, sometimes I do be like that. I can't blame my parents for trying, though, because now that I have kids of my own, I assume I will be insane or dead by the time I'm their age, because kids do not make sense. My kids got mad at me at dinner the other night because I couldn't answer, who was the first person to eat chicken? Yeah, man, I don't know. Ugh. Fine. Who was the first person to cook chicken? Like, that's the softball follow-up? Like, I can't even be like, well, kids, that knowledge was lost in the Library of Alexandria. Like, no one has ever known that. No one's ever known. And now, as a parent, anytime you don't know, 10 seconds later, Alexa, who was the first person to cook chicken? People are worried that Alexa listens to them. Least of my concerns. No, I get stressed out because I get fact-checked in real time, like I'm delivering a State of the Union address every single day. Alexa, what year was the moon landing? Oh, Dad, you were so close. Oh, thanks. And the timer feature? You ever tell a kid, hey, buddy, just give me a minute. And then hear them go, Alexa, set a timer for 1 minute.
Ooh, damn.
We don't spank my kids, but the first time they did that was also my first time Googling child kennels near me. All right, if you're on speaker, Alexa, cancel my 1 minute timer. Thanks. That's my time.
Oh, that was great. So for everybody in the room, please give it up for all of our student comedians. First time performing, I think they did awesome. One more serious round of applause for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.